All right, so finding a comfortable seated position, whatever you are feeling today. It could be a cross-legged position, it could be easy seat. You'll notice I'm using a bolster or kind of a meditation pillow, and that isn't necessary. I just feel like it makes this a little, practicing on this hardwood, a little more comfortable. So finding whatever position feels comfortable for you in a seated position. And taking a moment to just really get into your body, feeling all of the sensations and allowing yourself to really feel them. So much of our day, whether we are at home with kids or whether we're at work, so much of our day we're really focusing into mental energy, and we're ignoring a lot of the sensations of our body, which means we may hold a pose, whether it's holding a child or whether it's working on a laptop. We may hold a pose that's really not very comfortable. And our yoga practice is that perfect time to just check in and be kind. So we scan our body and just acknowledge what's going on without passing any judgment. And I say the no judgment because a lot of us know that we should be having better posture, or that we shouldn't be, craning our neck down to look at a smartphone, but modern life moves really fast, and it's really hard to be mindful of perfect posture and really healthy body mechanics all the time. I just spent the last 4.5 days with nieces and nephews, the oldest being 7 and the youngest being 2. And, when you're in the moment playing with those littles, the idea of being careful and protecting your body isn't what comes first. It's keeping them safe and then having fun in the moment. And so check in with your body and just acknowledge, tension, stress, tightness, maybe pain, and just being, open to it. And then letting that inform your practice. So when I say letting that inform your practice, if you're feeling, as you're getting into your body and you're getting into your mat, and you're feeling grounded in your seated position, if you're feeling tension in the shoulders or tension in the chest, maybe that informs your practice. Maybe you try to use the breath to move more into those places that feel tight. If you feel any pain as you're starting to settle into your mat, you would use that to inform your practice that you are being gentle with yourself and acknowledging that maybe you're going to be working around an existing injury or an old injury, and that might limit your motion. And I think that is where the power of yoga really shines, because we don't have to try to push through something that hurts. We can modify. So you'll see that I give a lot of modification options. And if I don't give one that you need, take what you need. The cueing is meant to support your practice, but it is not set in stone. And so if you normally modify a pose because of an injury or because of something you're dealing with, please do that and be safe. So as you drop into your body, start to tune into not just the sensation of how you're feeling, but also start to tune into your own breath. And if that means consciously slowing down your breath to try to decompress from a busy day, go ahead and take a few slow, controlled breaths. Maybe closing the eyes. And from here, we will take a moment to set an intention for our practice. Your intention is whatever is calling you to try yoga today. It can be completely physical. It can be a goal or you know, physical strength or flexibility type intention. It can be 100% thinking or feeling, you know, less stress, feeling more grounded, whatever is calling you today. From our place of feeling grounded and supported, we'll start to just move from this seated position. Inhaling the hands up and overhead. Exhale, dropping the left hand, reaching towards the left hand, but still sending energy down the right side. Gaze can be straightforward, or you can start to look towards that extended hand. Breathing in and out here. With your next inhale, coming back through neutral, both hands toward the ceiling. Exhale, right hand comes down. Grounding into the left sit bone. Taking a few breaths here, lengthening the obliques. And with your next inhale, coming through neutral. Exhaling the hands down and hold them out. So you're gonna hold them here for a few breaths. The amount of intensity is up to you. If you'd like less intensity, flatten the hands so they're parallel to the floor. A little more intensity, hands are pushing energy away and chest is active. Soften the fingers, soften the arms down, and coming into a tabletop position. Tabletop position, knees are spread about a hip width distance apart, fingers spread wide. Feeling really grounded in our tabletop position, adding our cat-cow. I'll show it from a side view in case you're not familiar. Cat pose, usually we round the spine with an exhale, navel drawn in, tailbone starts to tuck under, chin to the chest. And for cow, inhale, chin comes out, tailbone tucks and chest sinks to the floor. You can roll through your cat and cow at your own pace. So if you're feeling like you have a lot of energy, you can move through these fairly quickly. If you're feeling lower energy or you want to savor that movement, or maybe this is a point of tension for you, you could take the exhale here, but then take a breath. Thinking about really noticing how your spine is moving as you move from the flexion to the extension, also how the abdominals are supporting you. And when you're ready, we're going to add a little bit more fluid motion to the cat-cow, and this is an optional piece. So if you like the cat-cow and you want to just keep rolling through a few more of those, you can. If you want a little bit more movement, you can add a circle with the head. So as you're rounding into cat and extending into cow, just add a head circle here, which really works into the mid-back or the thoracic spine. So if you have a lot of technology use, laptop use, this might feel really nice. And if you go one way, be sure to reverse it. And the other option is to add a hip circle. So as you move through your cat and your cow, adding a slight circle with the hips. And then the final option is to do both. So you could do a hip circle and the head circle. When you're ready, bringing the toes together, knees spread wide, coming back into child's pose. Hands in front, walk the arms, hands a little further away from you, lowering the head down. Drawing the shoulders away from the ears here, really sinking into child's pose. Child's pose is a resting pose that you can take at any time during your practice in any class. It's a universally accepted resting pose and it does not need to be cued. You can decide at any time you want to take child's pose, then you just join the class when you're ready. Moving back into tabletop, adding a balance, inhaling the right hand, and the option, exhale here, and then inhale option to extend the opposite leg for a full balance. Thinking about keeping the chest fairly parallel to the floor, really lifting out of the hip and the arm that is supporting you while extending through the fingertips and through the feet. Breathing here, not holding our breath. Exhaling it down. And inhaling the other side, hand first, taking a breath, really activating the upper abdominals. So you feel almost like they're kind of knitting in together to support the core. And then the option to add the leg extension. Lowering down. And taking puppy pose. We're going to walk the knees back slightly while keeping the hands anchored where they are. Drawing the sit bones back, head comes right in between the elbows. Lowering the chest and the head toward the mat. They'll show it from a side view as well. Really our focus, this is puppy, so it's a variation on downward dog. Our focus is on getting into the mid-back without having to worry about the flexibility of the hips or the calves right now. So arms more forward, sending the sit bones back, and really drawing the shoulders away from the ears down the back, navel drawn in. Inhale, so get the fingers coming up and out of puppy pose. And we're going to walk into something called dolphin pose, which is actually not a resting pose. Downward dog is considered a resting pose, but it's a challenging one, I feel like. So dolphin pose is not a resting pose, but you're going to feel a lot more of the work in your upper body. And so you'll be able to feel really safe and comfortable in dolphin. We're going to set up the forearms down, fingers spread wide. So from elbow to hand, you're grounded. Walk the feet back slightly from your tabletop position and send the sit bones into the side. Maybe walking the feet slightly closer to your arms, just depending on how you feel. The goal here is not to have the heels to the mat. In dolphin, that's really quite challenging. Our goal here is to think about really pushing downward with the arms and the shoulders. We're using that strength. We're building some strength in the core. We're maybe starting to soften into the legs a little bit in dolphin. Taking a few big breaths here, not holding the breath. And exhale, coming down to the knees. And after those two poses, we will set up our downward dog. We'll pedal out the feet. I'm going to show this one from the side view just to show some no-nos. Downward dog, sometimes when we bring it up from our tabletop, just depending on your height and your anatomy. If this is a weird downward dog for you, take it a step back. It might be too tight, especially if you are fairly tall or have really long legs. If you come right up from tabletop, it might seem really tight. And so then take a step or two back. Correct position for downward dog. Imagine there is a jump rope around your hips, and there is someone drawing you back and slightly upward. Now to start here, without having our legs super warm, the nicest way to do this is to exaggerate the bend in the knees. Then you can get that position in the upper body that you want. And then as you start to pedal out the knees left to right, you'll be able to build some flexibility into the calves. And it comes over time. I always notice if I've worn a shoe with a heel, I have a definite difference in my downward dog the following day. And by the end of my practice, I might get closer to having my normal range of motion. But if you know you have tightness in the Achilles and in the heels, don't push it. Just feel comfortable with the pedaling of the feet. And if your heels are hovering a little bit, don't worry about it. My suggestion is to worry less about the heels and worry more about the upper body. I see a lot of downward dog here, and it's because people really want those feet down. So they'll shift weight here, and this is no longer a resting pose. This is really hard. It's a lot of active weight bearing in the wrist than in the hands. So I'd rather see really bent knees and sit bones pulled back and arms extended and feeling nice and expansive and stretching, instead of like really great legs down, but then kind of, having to hold this kind of weird plank. So from your downward dog, taking a few deep breaths, altering, one leg is straight, one leg is bent. I always do something that I call the banana downward dog. Shift all the way to one side, hip coming off the mat, shift all the way to another side, hip coming off the mat. And then we'll walk the feet up to the top of the mat. So looking towards the fingers, towards the hands, walk the feet forward. Hands come to the shins, lifting up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Don't worry about being super warm yet. The lower body needs a little bit more, need to move a little bit more. So inhaling, lifting up halfway. And then really bending the knees. Exhale, folding forward. Grab the elbows. And allowing the hips to open a little bit here. The more relaxed forward fold. With that really exaggerated bend in the knees, you can start to shift more weight into the toes and start to straighten the legs slightly. When you have options to come out of this, you can roll up one vertebrae at a time, or you could lift, reverse swan dive up into upward salute or Urdhva-Hastasana. Exhaling the hands through heart center, and we'll set up our mountain pose. We're going to go through a slow sun salutation. We'll break it down, and then we will kind of flow a little bit where we link the poses together. Thinking about the feet in your mountain pose, just to test out where the weight is. Shift the weight to the left, shift the weight to the right, and then try to really center the weight where you're using both feet equally. And then thinking about the feet in almost portions. So inner part of the foot, the big toe, outer part more by the baby toe, inner heel, outer heel. So maybe even making a little circle so that you're testing out how it feels to have weight in one side of the foot. And then coming back to neutral and trying to ground into all four corners of the feet. And from that place of feeling really grounded and supported, we start to build our mountain pose. Drawing the navel in, chest is lifted but soft. Hands may rotate so that this rotation is really coming at the shoulders, so that the hands are facing forward, the palms forward. Heel lengthening all the way through the crown of the head, maybe even slightly engaging the front of the thighs to elevate the kneecaps. That's a strong, secure mountain pose here. From here, inhaling hands up and overhead, upward salute. You could go straight up, or you could add more of a back bend here, thinking chest more towards the ceiling, so you're thinking more of a lift. And from here, we're going to exhale, folding forward. Soft bend into the knees. The fold is coming from the hip joint. Largest joint in the body, surrounded by all of the really large muscle groups. Glutes, quads, hamstrings. Our fold is coming from the hips. It is not coming from the back. So you don't want to do this kind of rounded back and hang. This is pretty hard on your body. Fold flat. Maybe bend the knees a little bit. And then drop the hands. So this is our full forward fold, Uttanasana. You have a lot of options here. If this is feeling pretty tight, bend the knees more. If this is feeling pretty easy, shift more weight into the toes and out of the heels. And we're going to bring the hands to the shins or even to the knees, lifting up with a flat back, half lift. Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold forward one more time. Plant the fingers, and we're going to walk the feet back. Plank pose, Balasana. Any wrist issues, you can use a fist to modify. If a full plank is not something your back is going to tolerate, or your shoulders, you could always drop down to the knees to modify it as well. Holding this plank for 2 breaths. We're gonna lower down, we're gonna lower the knees all the way down first, moving into chaturanga from the knees. Elbows right under the armpits, knees grounded, elbows come straight back to graze the rib cage. Lowering down slowly and with control. Hover right above the ground and then slide through into low cobra, Bhujangasana. Lifting into your low cobra. If you are feeling pain in the low back, do less. Also notice the hands. The hands can be there to help you find a little more length or a little more stretch, but you should be able to lift them and be okay. Exhale, coming out of low cobra, transitioning through that tabletop, back into downward dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Pedaling out the feet, taking whatever you need in downward dog. You could extend a leg up if you wanted. You could do a bent leg and a rotation. Just take what you need. Just be sure if you're taking an extended leg to do it on both sides. And in downward dog, gazing maybe at the knees, maybe up higher towards the belly. Taking one more breath here. Inhale, looking towards the fingers, walking the hands forward. Lifting up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana, flat back. And exhale, folding forward. Again, knees bent as much as you need or as feels comfortable. You can always start with more of a knee bend and then straighten them. Rolling up one vertebrae at a time or extending the arms out using the strength of the legs and the core. Coming up, upward salute, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhaling the hands down. Finding mountain pose. So in the sun salutation, we'll do a similar sun salutation, and we'll just kind of roll through it with some new things added. Rounding into the feet, feeling really stable in your mountain pose first, Tadasana. Inhale, hands up and overhead, upward salute. Exhale, folding forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, lifting up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Plant the fingers, step the feet back, plank pose, Anjaneyasana. Actually, no, that's Balasana. And one step ahead of myself. Balasana. Lowering the knees down unless you're used to taking a full chaturanga. And lowering straight down, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale into low cobra, Bhujangasana. Exhale, coming through tabletop or right into downward dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Staying here for 3 breaths. With your next inhale, stepping forward with the right foot for a low lunge, Anjaneyasana. Right foot comes forward, left knee comes to the mat. Hands to the hips, or an option, hands overhead. Exhale, plant the fingers. You have a couple of options to get out of this Anjaneyasana. Option one is just to shift weight back to the knee that's down and step it back. Option two, that's a little bit more fun, I think, is having both hands down and moving this front leg to the outer edge of the mat, doing kind of a pseudo crow pose. It's like a half crow, so it looks like an arm balance. And I like it because you can kick that foot to the side and send it back. It's easy on the joints and it's kind of fun. And inhaling into downward dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Breathe breath. And with your next inhale, stepping forward with the left leg, to a lunge, Anjaneyasana, grounding into the back leg, top of the foot, knee, front leg, hips are level, and maybe adding an upward salute here. Exhale. You could slide the foot back, you could heel toe the foot back, or you could do that kind of half crow and kick it out. And then finding downward dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Paddling out the feet if that's what you're called to do. Breathe breaths here. Inhale, looking at your fingers, walk the feet forward. Hands come to the shins or the knees, looking up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, hands up and overhead, upward salute, Urdhva Uttanasana. Exhale, hands to heart center. If you have really low blood pressure and you're noticing like coming down and back up and this kind of upward salute is an issue, you can always roll one vertebrae at a time, and you can do that in a live in-person class. I share that because of personal experience. Sometimes if I'm moving through a flow really fast, I have really low blood pressure, and so I'll be like, oh, okay, I'm a little lightheaded. So I don't think I'm the only one. So you can always, instead of that quick up, you can roll one vertebrae at a time, and that seems to help. We're gonna do one more sun salutation with a little bit of a twist. So grounding in, finding that nice strong mountain pose first. Inhale, hands up and overhead, upward salute. Exhale, folding forward, full forward fold, relaxing the head, releasing the neck. Inhale, lifting up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, plant the fingers, walk the feet back for plank pose, Balasana. We're going to go down differently. I'm going to show it from the side. Instead of using chaturanga, I'm going to show 8-point pose. 8-point pose, the 8 points are hands, feet, knees, and collarbones. You can actually plant the knees if you want to, but if you are really strong and don't want to plant your knees, you don't have to. And I'll show you why. So for 8-point pose, this is less of a tricep push-up and more of a, I don't know, my nephew calls it a like caterpillar inchworm exercise. So the knees hover unless you want them planted, and the collarbones come down like you're bowing, and the sit bones stay high. So you come through like a little inchworm right into low cobra. Inhale, lifting up. And so you could try that with knees planted and see what you think. And then if it seems too easy, you could always lift the knees off the mat to do that. 8-point pose. Ashtanga Pranam. Inhale, lifting into low cobra, Bhujangasana. Exhale, transition through tabletop or right into downward dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Paddling out the feet, finding just a little bit more space. Maybe drawing the navel in. Anytime we fold over the midsection, drawing the navel in, engaging the core, it gives us support as well as a little deeper range of motion. And when you're ready, looking towards the fingers, stepping forward with the right leg, Warrior Two. Back foot rotates so it would be parallel to the short edge of your mat. Hips line up, if I was on my mat correctly, hips line up more with the long edge of your mat. Right foot is forward, right arm is forward. Extend the back arm. From the lower half, you're strong and grounded. From the upper half, you are lifted and receptive. Warrior Two, Virabhadrasana 2. Breathing into it. Drop the back hand, palm of the front hand to the ceiling, and then bring it over. Reverse warrior. And coming forward, cartwheeling the hands down. We're going to drop the back knee, sliding the foot, heel toeing the foot, or taking a kind of kick out movement, send the leg back. And taking downward dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Again, finding just a little bit more space, whether it's in the mid-back, whether it's in the hips, whether it's in the ankles or the calf muscles. You should feel like you are working, but you're not feeling pain. With your next inhale, stepping forward with the left leg, rotating the right leg back so it is parallel with the short edge of your mat, coming up to Warrior Two. With Warrior Two, you always have options. The lower energy practice, it might not go as far down. Really high energy practice, building a lot of heat, it might sink lower. Just make sure to keep the knee from going past the big toe. This would be too far and hard on the knee. Also in yoga, never feel like you are committed. I could think I kind of want a strong practice. I could go for a low lunge, and then I could decide partway through, like, no, that's not really where my energy is at today, and I could come out of it after a few seconds. And that's always okay. You know what you need out of your practice. Thinking shoulders are soft, chest is receptive, and drop the back hand towards the thigh, front hand palm to the ceiling, and reach over, reverse warrior. Exhale, cartwheeling the hands forward. Again, rotating the back foot, maybe planting the knee down, heel toe that front foot forward or kicking it out, tabletop, and then into downward dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Looking towards the fingers on your next inhale. Walk the feet forward. Hands come to the shins, lifting up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, folding forward, grabbing the elbows if you want. Full forward fold. And when you're ready, either rolling up one vertebrae at a time, or inhaling hands up and overhead upwards. Exhaling the hands, finding mountain pose. In our mountain pose, we'll do a balanced posture. We're going to do tree. Tree is well known, and I feel like people love tree. We'll start by first finding our mountain pose, Tadasana. With tree and pretty much all of your balance postures, these can really act as a barometer. If you feel like your tree is shaky or your balance isn't there, it isn't always a physical component. It could be mental and it could be a busy week. I share that because I've had, shaky trees over the years, and I've practiced yoga for, oh gosh, too long now. It's embarrassing. I'm starting to think it makes me sound old. 25 years, maybe longer. So I've practiced for a really long time. And tree can be the barometer of your practice because we're focusing on the breath. We're trying to unite mind, body, breath. If your head is full of to-dos, it's hard to be a really solid tree. So I just share that in case you feel like the balance poses are a challenge. It's not always physical. So have grace with yourself. To feel as comfortable and as supported as we can in our balance pose, starting from our mountain pose, shifting weight into the right leg without changing any hips. So we don't try to hike a hip or sink a hip out. We try to keep it level and draw the navel to the spine, really engaging the core. Hands can come out to help with balance. Rotation at the left leg is at the thigh. So you could actually keep a toe down, kind of a support. The rotation is coming 100% from the thigh or from the hip socket. Core is really engaged, and the really big challenge here is thinking core is really engaged but trying to keep the chest and the face soft. If you feel really strong and you want to place the leg, you can always lift the leg and place it high. You could also use the calf. I would just avoid the knee joint because this is actually fairly active with energy going this way. That could be potentially hard on the knee. So you could do a really low tree, medium tree, or you could lift and place your tree. Any of those is wonderful. Hands can stay out. You can bring hands to heart center. You could go grow branches overhead. And then with our tree, because of that mental component I mentioned, it's helpful to find a drishti, or non-moving focal point, a few feet out in front of you on the ground. Finding that visual anchor is really helpful. Thinking about the foot rooting in, really finding that grounded, supported feeling, thinking about the chest, and even if the hands are at heart center or maybe out, We're growing these branches out, so we have this expansion. Kind of an opposing movement of like a down and an up. When you are ready to come out of your tree, hold your drishti, hold your focal point, and start to come out as slowly and as controlled as you can. So rotating back, softening the balancing leg, placing your both feet on the floor, and coming back to movement. And I share that as slow as possible cueing for two big reasons. Reason one is to build the strength of some of the really small supportive muscles so that eventually when you want to come out of that tree into a leg lift or a warrior three or a dancer pose or whatever you can, you don't have to feel like you're shaking. The second reason is really our goal with yoga outside of the benefits on the mat is to take the lessons off the mat. And the hardest thing in life is to weather change. And so just like moving out of that tree, it's really hard to be graceful and balanced in motion. It's hard in life to be graceful as we go through change and uncertainty. So, so many of the lessons in our postures really, we can directly apply them to things going on off the mat. And so that's the other reason I like that cueing. We're going to set up our tree on the other side, exact same thing. So starting to find your strong mountain pose first. Finding that drishti or focal point. Shifting weight into the left leg, hips are fairly level. Navel is drawn into the spine. Rotation is at the hip joint. Low tree, or you could do a lift in place. Hands out to help with balance. Or you can bring hands to heart center. Or you could grow branches. Thinking about rooting down the root of the supporting leg. Also expanding up through the chest, maybe through the arms. And when you're ready, again, moving slowly and with control. Back to neutral mountain pose. From there, we're going to lower it down. All the way down, legs extended in front of you, stick pose or Dandasana. This is the seated version of mountain pose, foundational posture of all of your seated positions. Legs are active, navel is in, chest is lifted but soft. And then exhale, softening everything, folding forward, knowing that the hips, sit bones are anchored, and so your forward fold will be very modest. So we fold from the hips first, and then we can soften the low back a little bit to come closer to the legs. Inhale, coming up and out of your seated forward fold, bringing the feet together. A couple of options here, Baddha Konasana or cobbler's pose. You can have the feet quite a ways away from the seat. You could work more on an upright position, especially if you are feeling like you're hunched over a laptop a lot. If you'd rather work more on the lower body, you could draw the feet closer to the sit bones, and you could use some tension from the elbows and the forearms to soften the knees. This would be more of a lower body hip focus, whereas further away, sitting up nice and tall, this would be more of an upper body ab focus. And scanning the face, seeing if you can encourage the muscles around the eyebrows, the forehead, the muscles in the jaw, around the mouth, all of them to soften. And softening, letting go of the ankles, feet, shins, whatever you're holding on to, rolling all the way down. Bringing the left leg over the right thigh. Figure 4, thread through. If you're not getting enough of a stretch with the hand behind the thigh, you can always bring the hands in front of the knee. To protect the knees, curl the toes back towards the respective knee. And again, as you're softening into some of the larger muscles in the lower body, soften the face, soften the jaw, soften the chest. Releasing the hands, lowering the foot all the way down, and crossing to the other side. Curling the toes back towards their knee, reaching the hand under. And again, scanning the face, the jaw, the neck, shoulders. And releasing the fingers, feet come down. Taking any last posture that you might like before we rest in Shavasana, maybe taking a spinal twist, maybe taking happy baby, whatever you feel you need to close out your practice. If you're taking a spinal twist, be sure to take that twist on each side. Whenever you're ready, coming back to final resting pose, Shavasana. Maybe covering with a blanket, allowing the feet to roll open. Hands can rest palms up a few feet away from you. Or if you'd like to close out the world for a few more minutes, you could have hands palms down, just resting on your low belly. And as you sink into Shavasana, allow the breath to just be natural and soft. Focusing on the feeling at the nostrils with the inhale. A slightly cooler sensation at the nose. Allowing the face to be soft, shoulders softened down and away from the ears. Letting the physical body melt into your mat, fully supported, fully grounded. From this place of full support, take a moment to reflect on the intention you set for yourself at the beginning of your practice. So focus in on the intention that you set for yourself, knowing that whatever is drawing you to your practice, to your mat today, setting this intention, taking this time for yourself to tune into what you value, and allowing yourself to recharge, to breathe, and to tune in to body and breath without judgment. Knowing that you're one step closer to that intention. Yogis refer to a yoga session as a practice because we never really master the art of patience 100%. We're always working on it. Never 100% master the ability to manage and mitigate stress in our modern life. So we show up on the mat. Take a moment to just smile, whether it's inwardly, whether it's a physical smile or both. Knowing that you took the time, you gave yourself that permission to tune in and to do the work. You can stay in Shavasana for as long as you'd like. If you'd like to get up and start moving, you can join me in transitioning out of practice, wiggling your fingers, toes, bringing yourself back to the room. Whenever you're ready, rolling to the right side, perhaps using the right arm as a pillow. And whenever you're ready, you can join me in an upright seated position. Thank you so much for joining me in practice. I hope this was a great start to your week. And I hope you have a fabulous Monday evening. Namaste.